everybody, and welcome to True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters. This is Katie Weaver, and I'm here with my co-host and partner in crime, Kristi Brower. Hello.
Hello. Excited to be here as ever.
Well, good.
I know
We
I
always
always say
like
that, but it's
parties.
because it's true. I
There's
love
always,
doing this show. So, yeah.
right, there's always another crime to dive into.
Oh, well, that part I don't love. But,
Yeah,
we were talking the other day about how we will never run out of cases. Like, we
no,
can do this show forever and we're never going to run out of cases, which that bothers me a lot. But at least there is something we can do, which
yeah.
is, bring some attention to some of these cases. And for that, I do
Mhm.
really enjoy it. That means a lot to me,
Yeah,
you know.
for
So
sure. Agreed. Well, good. Well, before we dive into the case, how are you? How are things?
good, really good, just working, Katie and I both work on psychic hotlines, and today was a really busy day on my hotline, and I've done 30 videos for clients
Yeah,
today. Whew, that's a lot. I'm just gonna say that's a lot. I'm very
yeah.
grateful. I'm also tired. But tell you what, my
That's
intuition is
awesome.
really singing, so it's a good thing I'm reading a case tonight because I've had a
Yeah.
lot of practice.
This is true. You've been way at it all day. Well, good. Well, all is well here too.
Oh, good.
Well, I just spent a lot of time chasing down cases today, and oh, I am on the MMIW case this week, and I got to tell you, I had about three ready.
Did you? Couldn't decide which one?
Mhm. Couldn't
Yeah.
decide. I picked this one because, well, you'll see why. But anyway, yeah, I have just researched my little tail off today. But anyhow, that's good. That's the work. It's
Mm-hmm.
important. And
Yes, it is.
my personal research strategy is that I have to be able to identify someone, find at least three pictures and at least three separate articles, documentaries, blogs about
Right.
them or Facebook pages. A lot of victims' families do have a Facebook page, and those can be a wealth of information. A Reddit
So true.
article, their obituary. I want to see a multitude of things because it's easy to get some facts mixed up in these cases, and we do
Oh.
sometimes. We
Mm-hmm.
do sometimes. You know, they. But anyway, so I try to operate in the rule of threes. That I get three of everything to make sure that this is what we think. Yeah.
I
So,
like that. It's very smart because it is really easy to get some bad info.
well, the hard part is so many articles mimic each other.
Yeah.
And so they'll mimic the same bad info over and over.
That is
Yeah.
very true. I have seen that repeatedly,
Mm-hmm.
especially these MMIW cases because they don't get enough attention.
Mm-hmm.
And so you'll read 4 or 5 articles and they're basically just parroting each other. So they're not like actual like journalism where they're going out and getting the information on their own. So
Yeah.
if the first article was wrong, then all of them are wrong. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yep. Yep.
the
And then we
plight of the
have,
true crime podcaster, huh?
it's true. And then we have friends and family popping up going, that's not what happened, or that isn't the right. And,
Yeah,
from the information we could find, that's what we knew. Now, I have no problem admitting I'm wrong. I have no problem being wrong and correcting something if it's incorrect. That's
sure.
totally cool. But I would rather not.
Right. Just rather not be wrong in the first place, thanks. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. And every once in a while we miss something and we appreciate you guys sharing it with us. But
Mhm.
I mean, when you look back on our body of work and, we are I think this is our 140th case.
Well, today
It's a
is a
lot.
really auspicious day, actually, because it was exactly 1 year ago today on the 23rd so today is, on the 23rd of February that we opened this channel and we posted our first teaser and started
That
prepping
is
to post our
right.
first channel. So happy anniversary or to post
Yes.
our first episode.
Yay.
Yeah, it was
Happy
exactly 1 year
anniversary to True
today.
Crime Paranormal. Wow.
Yep.
And we are at 140 episodes in that time, you guys.
Yeah, pretty cool. Yep.
Wow.
So,
Love it.
yeah, loving it, loving it. So anyway, long story short, I have been way down the rabbit hole of research all day, and that's
I do hear that.
The dogs love it because I'm cuddling them,
Mm-hmm.
the whole time. They're curled up with me somewhere on the love seat or the couch or the chair or the bed or whatever, but,
Right.
so it's been a quiet researchy day here, but
Nice.
the case this week, so as you guys know, we have committed ourselves to one missing or murdered Indigenous woman or girl every month of this year because there is such a huge epidemic in the US of these cases and they're not being adequately covered, they're not being adequately reported on.
No.
Now, our victim this week, we're talking about Aubrey Dameron. And
Okay.
Aubrey Dameron she falls into an even more critically dangerous category than just being a missing or just than being an Indigenous woman, which in the United States, being an Indigenous woman or Canada is very dangerous all in itself. Aubrey
Right.
is also transgender.
Yes.
And that adds an additional horrifying layer of danger.
So
Women of
much so.
color, trans women of color, are in critical danger every day of their lives.
Yes.
And so lots of layers of threat to Aubrey's life. So
Yeah.
I want to get down to the case and so that you can understand her. I have to say this is the first time I've ever been a little disappointed in the Charlie Project. The Charlie Project
Wow.
is usually fantastic
Right.
in getting the information out. The reason I'm very frustrated this time with the Charlie Project is that they misgendered her.
Ugh.
And in their description of her, they flip her pronouns over and over again.
So disrespectful. Not cool. Charlie
Yeah.
Project. Not cool.
No. So if you guys are not very familiar with transgender people, and you may not be, and that's okay. So I want to give you a tiny bit of education so that you understand. So
Yeah.
when we're referring to Aubrey as a female, Aubrey was born in a male body and identified as a female. And when she was a teenager, she started the transition to transition into her female self. And so that's called a male to female transition.
Mm-hmm.
And she had medical, not a full medical transition, but she does have breast implants. She had gone through extensive voice training, and you can see in the pictures, she's obviously been on hormone therapy for years because
Mm-hmm.
she's got very feminine traits.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you're not familiar, that's why. And so when we call Aubrey she, that's because that is the pronoun that she preferred. That
Right.
is the gender that she identified with. It gets confusing sometimes, and I know that people are afraid of screwing this up, and you don't want to mess it up. You don't, but it's, I want to make sure you guys understand what we're talking about because it is,
Right.
I think if you're not familiar, if you don't know trans people, you might not understand what the pronouns mean or how they line up. So that's how it works. So the reason that I say that the Charlie Project misgendered her is because they did. They have her listed as a male.
Not
And
cool.
that's really problematic. Yeah. And then again, as I said, in the distinguishing characteristics and details of disappearance, they flip the pronouns from he to she over and over again. So I
Not
wish that
okay.
was not the case. Yeah.
Me too. Me too. Feels
Yeah.
like a letter to the Charlie Project is in order.
Yeah, that's problematic to me, really
Mm-hmm.
problematic. So, but anyway, however, the Charlie Project in general does fantastic work, and I don't want to drag them, but this is one instance that I think things could definitely be done a little better. But
Sounds like they need some education.
yeah, I wondered. So that's where it is at. Now, they do share Aubrey's former name, which I think could be important if this person was actually, you know, missing somewhere. And her former name is Austin Dylan Joel Dameron.
Okay.
But
And it's
again,
important to
she's
note that the only reason that we share that is because it could be important to the case,
right.
because that is called,
Normally,
that's dead
yeah,
naming someone who is trans, and normally you would never
yeah,
do that. But in a
no,
situation like that, I do feel it's important to know both names,
yeah,
considering that this person is
is missing.
missing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guessed missing because I
Well, we'll get there. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's who our Aubrey is. So all right. So she went missing from Oklahoma. So she actually went by the nickname Shorty. She had Shorty tattooed on herself. And I guess everybody in her family always had called her Shorty, and she went by that
Mhm.
name. But on March 13th, 2019, at about 3:30 a.m., she left the house. Apparently, she had been messaging friends on Facebook asking them to come and get her. No one actually responded to those messages, but she left the house. Her mother said that she was wearing all black. She had on a black jacket, a black skirt, a black top, tights, and boots. And when her mother asked where she was going at 3:30 in the morning, she said she was going out to meet someone. Her cell phone pinged near her home about 3:42 a.m. and then was either shut off or died, but wasn't ever turned back on. And that was it. She was never seen or heard from again.
Mm.
So she is a member of the Cherokee Nation and again lived in Oklahoma. She'd
Mhm.
been through some really tumultuous stuff. She had moved in with her boyfriend for a little while. And with the boyfriend turned out to be quite abusive. And her family convinced her to move back home just about 8 months before she disappeared. So when she came back home, she was really struggling with substance abuse issues, and her family had helped her to get into some rehab. Her aunt and uncle that speak for her mostly and have worked really hard on her behalf, they were really worried about her moving back home with her mom and her stepdad because they both were meth addicts. And so there's
Oh.
a lot of
Okay.
substance abuse in this family. Yeah, a lot of issues. But at any rate, so her aunt and uncle say that sometime around Christmas, her connection to them on social media got really scant. She
Mm.
mostly wasn't posting, and she had been posting tons of selfies and, you know, communicating with them often. And that just got really scant. And they had been worried about her, about what was going on with
Mhm.
her. Was she using again? What was happening? And then about a week before she died, there was an incident with her stepdad. They had a physical altercation, and she actually had charges. Oh, a few weeks before she died, she
Mm.
actually had charges of assault and battery against her. And then they were dropped on March 1st. So it sounds like things were pretty
Mhm.
tumultuous in the home.
Yeah.
So at any rate, she disappears and they don't have a clue where she's at, like just vanishes. She leaves her purse at home. She leaves her medication at home, which is really important because she was on hormone therapy, but she was also an epileptic that
Oh.
had, yeah, was on, medication for seizures daily that she did not
Right.
take with her. And that really had her family worried because obviously she needed that medication.
Right.
So there was lots of looking, checking with people she knew. There was just no indication of where she went at all. It's like she just vanished into the night and nobody had a clue where she had gone. So something really weird happened right around March 12th, the day before she disappeared.
Mhm.
On March 12th, some woman that was a friend of Aubrey's named Danette Robotham
Mm.
called Aubrey's ex-boyfriend Jay, who had since he's moved to Colorado. He doesn't live around here anymore. This is the boyfriend she'd been living with. She told him that Aubrey was being held against her will in Ketchum, Oklahoma,
Mm.
for drug money that she owed, and that if he didn't help Danette come up with the money, that they were going to kill her. So after she disappears, Jay talks to law enforcement about this. So they go run Danette down, and as it turns out, Jay sent her a bunch of money. As it turns out, this was a hoax on Danette's part. and
Mhm.
she was charged with extortion.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it really kind of obstructed with the case, but it wasn't actually applicable. She was just trying to get some money out of this guy.
Yeah.
So it's just it's one of those, yet again, cases where somebody just vanishes.
Mhm.
And one thing with this case, though, because as usual, it gets very confusing between who has jurisdiction and who is searching for her and who's covering this case, and all the law enforcement issues that we've discussed in cases past.
Right.
Well, her
Did
family,
she disappear from a reservation?
I actually don't know.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I wasn't clear on that when I read about this case.
Looks like the Cherokee Marshals are involved.
She disappeared from Grove, Oklahoma. So I don't know if Grove is
Okay.
on the res or not,
Okay.
but it could be. But yeah, the Cherokee Marshals are involved. So are law enforcement. It took a little time to get them all in, but they were. So one of the things that really frustrated her family, particularly the aunt and uncle, were that trying to get all this interagency support was a real challenge.
Right.
And so they actually got a state representative to help them, or a local representative to help them to write a bill called the Aubrey Act Alert. So the Aubrey Act Alert is designed to be an alert system, an interagency alert system in Oklahoma, so that when someone, an Indigenous person, disappears, or it's kind of like an Amber Alert for the Indigenous communities, so that
Right.
all agencies in the state are notified at the same time, so that
Nice.
everyone gets
We
on
need
board.
that here in Idaho. Big time.
Every state needs that, right? And every
Yes.
municipality needs that. Well, unfortunately, it was Daniel Pay officially filed it into, it's called HB 1790. So
Mhm.
he filed that on January 20th of this year into the Oklahoma legislation.
Mhm.
And there's been a lot of support for the bill, but they received word just here in the last couple of weeks that they don't have enough support for the bill to get it passed unless they change the name, because there are a lot of very conservative representatives in Oklahoma that aren't willing to allow it to have the name of a transgender girl.
Oh my God.
So it can't
It's
be
like
the
we're in
Aubrey's.
Idaho again.
Yep,
That's so
it can't.
stupid.
Yep, can't be the Aubrey's Alert bill. They'll have to change the name of it, and then they may reconsider. So her family is very devastated and frustrated
Yeah.
over the whole process. And this is a bill that needs to pass. This is an alert system that needs to happen. But
Yeah.
they're discriminating against a missing, possibly murdered woman because she's transgender, and won't pass a bill that could help their whole state and help with the entire MMIW issue in their state. And it's just disgusting.
Oklahoma, get a clue.
Yeah,
Ridiculous.
get it together. Huge props to her family for working
Right?
on legislation and pushing for better. They, even though I know their bill hasn't passed yet, I have some hope that it still will, and that they can still keep their name too,
Yeah.
and, get it through so that they can get some better help in their state for MMIW victims. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's everything we know. So let's take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, Kristi, I'm going to ask you to just do a psychic reading on this case and decide, what do you think happened to Aubrey?
Okay. Hi, I'm Kristi Brower, podcaster and professional psychic. I have spent the last 14 years honing my skills as a psychic and a healer. I work on the Purple Ocean app. You can find it in any of the app stores. And I am available every day for video and chat readings. I specialize in pattern breaking, particularly in relationships, but really in any area of your life. If you're feeling stuck and like you can't move on or you can't let something go, I am the reader for you. That is exactly what I focus on. It's what I love to do. I love to help stuck people get moving, and I've been doing it for many years and have been very successful at it and can do that for you as well. So if you are having trouble letting go of a relationship or a fear or a challenge of any kind in your life, come see me at Purple Ocean and we will do everything we can, me and my guidance system and my intuition and you, because it's always a package deal that we work together, but we will find a way to break that pattern for you. So come see me over at Purple Ocean and let's break your patterns.
All right, we are back. So, of course, we are discussing the case of Aubrey Dameron. Kristi, what do you think?
Okay, so Aubrey was really struggling and feeling alone and feeling like she didn't have a lot of support. I do feel that Aubrey was active on some kind of dating site like Grindr or something like that. And when none of her friends responded at 3:30 in the morning, she just was really mentally not in a good place. She hooked up with somebody that she didn't know, somebody from this dating app. And I do feel that she met them in person. I hate to say this, but I do feel that this person did not know that she was trans. And when she said that she was, I do feel that they killed her. I don't feel that this has anything to do with her being MMIW. I feel like it has everything to do with her being trans.
Yeah.
And that just makes me sick. But I do feel that when she met this person in their conversations that she did, explain that she is trans and this person committed a hate crime and murdered her. I do feel they put her in their car and they drove a long ways away, like into a different state, a long ways away, before they disposed of her body. I do feel she's buried and that she's buried like in a wooded area, but it's not in Oklahoma. It's in another state surrounding Oklahoma. There's no connection to her other than through that app. I don't know if they searched her phone or if they ever found her phone. Maybe they didn't
Didn't
find her
find her
phone.
phone? No.
And this is not a person she'd ever met before. So they don't know this person's name. There's no connection. And her body was transported across state lines to another place where I'm sorry to say I don't feel that they will ever find her. I don't feel that she will ever be found or identified. I do feel that she died the night she disappeared. I don't feel that she was held or that she ran away or any of those kinds of things. I do feel that she was killed that same night. And I just want to say I'm so sorry to her family for this loss because she was a beautiful person. And this was not right.
She was. And many family members have said that she was their rock, that she was their best example. When she came out as a teenager, she came out first as gay and then as trans, and the church that her family worshiped at banned her from returning.
Mm.
And yet she remained to be, remained, in her family's words, an extremely kind and generous person that would support you, would give you the shirt off her back if she could, and was, an example of the way you treat other people, regardless of how people treated her. I mean, imagine coming out and transitioning in a town of 7,000 in Oklahoma.
I cannot imagine. Aubrey
Yeah.
was very brave, clearly
Yeah.
very brave to be herself in spite of. In spite of
a lot of discrimination. Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yep. So this is why we do what we do, right? To continue to put alerts on these cases, to continue to keep that energy high. In this case, just maybe that fool will tell somebody about it someday that tells somebody else. It's
Right.
probably the only chance we have of this
I'm
one
afraid
being
that
solved.
because I feel like the police will find no connection because there wasn't one before that night.
Yeah, this is a really hard one. But also, if you live in Oklahoma, contact your representatives
Yes.
now.
Yeah.
Tell them you want Aubrey's bill to pass and you want Aubrey's alert bill to pass and that you want it to pass in its written form. And we're done messing around. We're done discriminating. We are going to pass this bill. We are going to help the MMIW population of Oklahoma, and we're going to quit being stupid about it. You know,
Well, and the trans population, obviously, as well.
yeah, yep, absolutely. All righty. Well, and hopefully that bill can be a springboard for other states to
Yes,
also, pass better legislation that helps with this very thing. The interagency alerts is huge. That's a huge step.
it is. And clearly, that's so important because often in these cases, maybe the crime was committed on a reservation, maybe it wasn't, maybe the person was transported.
Yeah,
Just because something started in one place doesn't mean it ends in that place. And so,
right.
for all law enforcement agencies to be notified at the same time, to be looking for, just like the Amber Alerts do, you're looking
Mhm.
for this car with this license plate, this person's description is this, those kinds of things. I can't imagine the
Yeah,
difference that that would make. Huge,
yep,
huge.
absolutely. Yep. All righty. Well, that is it for this episode. So thank you very much for reading that. And thanks you guys for being here with us. Now, remember,
Absolutely.
we do always have new cases on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. We have a live show on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. here on YouTube. That is our case updates. And then another live show at 7 p.m. on Thursdays, the psychic hour. So we have lots more to
Yeah,
come this week.
we
Thank you
sure
so
do.
much for being here. As always, like, subscribe, share. We love your support. We appreciate it very much. And come check
Mhm.
out our Patreon for more content. We put out new stuff a couple of times a month there, and we try to
Yeah,
keep that really fun and really fresh. So we'd love to see you there as well. All
absolutely.
righty. You have been listening to True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters. Take care.